Hi guys, so the other night we had the most incredible thunder and lightning sort of show going on, and it was crazy. Never seen anything like it in England like this. It was literally constant, flashing all over the place. So I basically thought I'll grab the Rx10 Mark IV and try some slow motion lightning. So as you can see now, literally 1,000 frames a second, lightning. So it really made it quite cool. And it was just a case of aim the camera somewhere in the sky and hope for the best. I did pretty well. I think I did 50 clips in total. The only downside is it took a while to record each time you did a slow motion clip. So as you can see some of these are either 500 frames a second, 250 frames a second, or 100 frames a second normal video. When you see the banding like that, that is actually the 100 frames a second. So the camera is obviously not, the frame rate's not quite fast enough to deal with how quickly the lightning is flashing. Even at 250, it was a little bit of banding. 500 and 1,000 was absolutely fine. That's 100. Absolutely mad. I never thought I'd ever be able to do it. Also at 600 millimeters, so I actually zoomed in. This one was here about 300, but I did actually get some shots at 600 millimeters, which was pretty cool, like that. So really impressed with how well it did. Complete guess on the focusing. I was focusing on the tree in the distance, using that as the sort of focus area, and locking it and hoping I would see some lightning in shots and things like this. That was 250 with 250 frames a second, and that was I think 500. A little bit slower there. You can see how long it hangs around when it's that slow. The banding. That was 1,000 frames a second. As you can see, I have no idea where it's going to come into frame. This one was one lucky shot. But I'm shooting into a dark sky, so I have no idea what I'm looking at. It's just luck, a lot of it. This one here, this is at 100 frames a second. As you can see, really quick, boom, gone. Even at 100 frames a second, but nice and smooth. But you can still see a bit of banding, which is a little bit long. This is at 1,000 frames a second. Lightning seems to have, obviously we know the speed of light and everything like that, but lightning seems to have a different, I don't know, law or something like that. I mean, they're basically a double flash, and it ignited again in the same area and then disappeared. So that was 1,000 frames a second. It was bonkers, and for us in England, it was nothing I've ever seen this crazy. I think it was about 5 different storm cells in the area, just all going nuts. It was just constant flash. So once I'd done some video, because that's all I was interested in, I thought, well, while I'm here, I may as well do some stills, which I'll show you in a minute. And there's lots of techniques, there's lots of cheap ways of doing it. You can use a Myops trigger now, which has got a lightning trigger on it. You set the camera up, and basically as soon as the trigger detects a flash of lightning or bright light, it will set the camera off. So you pretty much get the shot you wanted. But what's the point of that? The whole point of being a photographer is you are in control of the camera. You're not leaving it on auto. You're not getting a machine to do it for you. Yes, tools are brilliant, and if you need the shot, yes, it can be helpful. But if you're doing it for pleasure and just to be creative and things like that, always use the camera in manual. So my settings were for the stills. So generally ISO 100, 125, the ISO 125, something like that. F8 generally. I was down to f5.6 a couple of the shots, but you take a couple of test shots normally just to see what your exposure is going to be, because it's completely dark out there. I set the camera to bulb, so once I either just held my finger down on the trigger, on the shutter. The shutter is locked open until you let go of the button. So your duration could be 10 seconds, could be 5 minutes, could be longer than that, depending on what's going on. On this particular night, I was probably doing 10 to 20 second exposures generally. So this is one of the test shots. So I was exposing for the chimneys there, so they were being lit by a street light. As you can see, there's no lightning going on. So I knew the settings for that, and then I went a bit overboard. As you can see, it's like daytime. Slightly out of focus as well, so I had to tweak the focusing on this to get it right. And then with these settings exactly the same as they are now, and a bolt of lightning hit during the rain, it just blew it out. It could have been daytime. So I tweaked the settings, and this was the result. So as you can see, the chimney's a lot darker, and then you've got decent cloud cover and the lightning. So once you know you've got your settings roughly right, I'm literally holding my shutter button down, and then it's a case of a few seconds or whatever, you see a flash of lightning, boom, let go, and then take another shot and hold your finger back down. So I was constantly taking a photo, but every time I saw a big flash of lightning, that became my shutter speed. So the camera is locked open, big flash of lightning, boom, let go. So that finished that photo, and then you push the button again to start the next one. So every single photo I took after those 3 test shots, I had a picture of lightning. So these are the ones that are the best shots. So it's pretty easy once you get a hang of it. But it's a lot of the time you see people with blown out, as in the lightning's got so bright, and it's just blown the lightning out, and you end up with this like big burn in the shot. That's just down to bad exposure. So you generally underexpose for lightning, just very slightly, because you don't know how bright that bolt's going to be. It could be not enough, it could be too much. So you kind of want to go slightly in between. Right. So here's a shot that I edited just for a bit of fun. Stars, a moonshot I've taken, and the cloud cover, just for interest. And then I went a bit bonkers. So that'd be a bit of a worrying scenario, wouldn't it? So yeah, it was just a bit of fun, but nice 2-minute edit on Photoshop, nice and easy, but it looks quite effective, I thought. There was one more photo that I did, or an edit, should I say, if I can find it. Was the aeroplane shot, and basically that was a 600mm shot, and the plane was a daytime shot, and I basically merged the images together to get the appearance of the plane being in the storm, because I did see a few, but there's no way you can, unless the lightning was really, really bright, which would have been enough to freeze a plane in the air during a nighttime shot, because in there I was still doing 10 to 15 second exposures, maybe 30 seconds sometimes. So the plane would have been really blurred, and you wouldn't have seen a sharp image like that. But I just thought it added to the whole sort of scenario of the storm, and you wouldn't really want to be in the plane. So anyway, I hope there was a little bit of interest there, and just proves another point that the Rx10 Mark IV is a really usable camera. I didn't pick up the Sony A7R3 at all. I just grabbed the Rx10 just to see what the slow motion would have been like, and I was really, really happy with the results. So anyway, guys, so please subscribe and please click the notification bell, and I'll speak to you soon.